Hello and welcome to the News Made Simple podcast with me, Komoto Mudise. It is the 17th of September 2025, a big day in South Africa. Quite a bit happened, but of course, the big story of the day is the start of the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of corruption within the police. It's been called the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry because it's been chaired by Justice Madlanga, as well as the Mkhwanazi Commission of Inquiry because Konazi, the Lieutenant General from KZN, is the man of the moment in this. And we're all here because of him. So let's get into what happened today at the Bridget Mabanda Justice College. The session started this morning at 10 a.m. sharp. It was quite literally on the dot. And we saw the commissioners up front and ready to begin the work of the day. And it started with an address, both from the chair, Justice Madlanga, as well as the chief evidence leader, Advocate Terry Mudau. In terms of Madlanga, a powerful quote came from him, and I'm going to read it for you. It says, "If the allegations are proven to be true, then that spells doom for South Africa, for South Africa's criminal justice system." And I think that was a really powerful quotation because it showed just the importance of this Commission of Inquiry, that it's not just another one of those. What this quote and what this statement says is that if what we're here to investigate is true, then we have a big problem on our hands as a country. And that he uses the word doom. And I think that's really, really powerful. And then we heard from Advocate Terry Mudau, who is the chief evidence leader, and he clarified a lot about the Commission of Inquiry. Number one, he spoke about how the commission will not operate from the premise that the allegations made by General Mkhwanazi are true. But he says they will also not operate from the premise that the allegations are not true. That means the allegations must be brought forward and tested, and then a decision must be made by the commission. And that's important because they cannot be from either side, whether you are the one making the allegations or if you are the accused. There can never be a sense that the commission has already made up its mind and you have to come there and convince it otherwise. The commission must operate from a place that this is neither, we don't believe anything. We want to hear what's being said and we want explanations from the people who are being accused. Number three, we heard, is it number three or number two? He said the chunk of the testimonies will be made in camera. And I think we got that sense when he was detailing how Mkhwanazi's testimony, a part of it is going to be in camera, which means it will not be open to the public. That's because of the security concerns. We saw today, even during testimony, there were some testimonies where names could not be revealed, particularly the names of the members of the political killings task team. That's sensitive information. But also the fact that there are still ongoing investigations, that needs to be considered by the commission. The work of the police has not stopped, and it cannot stop in order to allow for the commission to continue. So because of that, currently the posture is that there must be a balance between public interest and the security element. And it must always be considered that while the public has a right to know, there must be security prioritized. And so some of the testimonies are going to be in camera. Some of the testimonies will not be before you and I. So some of them, we might get a transcript at a later stage. But I think for now, it's safe to say that we'll have testimonies in camera that we know nothing about and testimonies in public. But I must say that from the testimonies that are going to be open to the public, I think already we can establish a lot about what's happening in the police. Now, something else from Advocate Mudau was that he details how this commission is going to be run in phases. Phase one being, General Nhlanhla Konazi coming before the commission, detailing all these allegations and clarifying exactly what he means and what he meant on the 6th of July 2025. Phase two will be the implicated persons coming to respond to these allegations and making their own cases and clarifying, really. And this is likely, this is where we will see the likes of General Shadrack Sibiya, the likes of suspended Minister Senzo Mchunu coming out to clarify and saying what exactly happened here. Is it true? Is it not true? What are the facts? What exactly has been going on in the police? That's phase two. Phase three, we're likely to see, or that's when we'll see Mkhwanazi come back and respond to phase two, but also clarify any questions that may have arisen from phase two. Very similar to a criminal trial where we see, the examination in chief, then we see cross-examination, and then we see re-examination. It's being run in the same way. And in that way, there's then going to be an opportunity for the commissioners to almost draw a report and come to a conclusion about the allegations that have been made. And then we saw the man himself, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, take the witness stand. And I think I got the sense that he was extremely confident today. He knew exactly what he had to say and he came to say it. He responded to the questions with authority. He came across as knowledgeable. It was very refreshing to see a police officer that knows exactly what he's talking about. Someone who's well versed and clued up about his space and his work. When he said he's been an officer since 1993, it showed. And it doesn't always show with police officers, especially with me who sits in court sometimes. You hear officers that have been officers for ages, but can't describe and explain the systems of the police, clearly. And I think we saw General Mkhwanazi really being very, very clear and assertive, but also showing an understanding of the technical operations within the police service. And that, for me, was really refreshing. We then also heard about his education, the fact that he did his policing degree at the Tshwane University of Technology, and he's been an officer since 1993. And then we got into the nitty-gritties, really. Well, we started with some of the details. Why exactly are we here? And the commission started with the establishment of the Political Killings Task Team. It was established in 2018 to investigate political crimes or political murders, as well as taxi-related violence in the province of KZN. And that's exactly what it was doing. And Konazi says they were doing really well at the time. The success rate was really, really good. And that's why they became, the ideal candidates to come and support Gauteng with the challenge that the police in the province had on their hands. You see, Gauteng was tasked and had this mammoth task of investigating this criminal syndicate that was running in the province. But there was a lot that was causing hiccups and challenges in the investigations. Issues around there being, a mole, it seemed, who was spreading or leaking information, but also the Gauteng police did not have the capacity, really, it seems, to investigate. And so they needed the support and the reinforcement from the Political Killings Task Team. And the work of the Political Killings Task Team was felt almost immediately. We saw in December 2024 the arrest of Katiso KT Molefe in connection with the murder of Vereniging engineer Armand Swart. And that's really when things started getting really, really shaky, because it seems the arrest of Katiso KT Molefe, who's an alleged crime kingpin, ruffled a lot of feathers. And the Political Killings Task Team started getting a lot of resistance. And you hear Mkhwanazi today detailing how when he learned that the task team was being disbanded, he was opposed to this, saying, we're actually making progress. We've been making arrests here. Now, the invitation for the KZN Political Killings Task Team to come into Gauteng came from General Dumisani Khumalo. Until now, we haven't had a real or clear sense about why exactly Khumalo was allegedly being targeted. You remember in the press briefing by Mkhwanazi, he said that Khumalo had been charged, and of course he was facing fraud and corruption charges. But the question that most had was, why would they target Khumalo? Well, it turns out not only is Khumalo the head of crime intelligence, but he's also the chairperson or the leader of this Political Killings Task Team. And so he's the one that then roped in the task team into Gauteng to support and reinforce with their investigations into this syndicate. And we heard from Mkhwanazi that, once they started working, things started being a little difficult for the task team. Mkhwanazi says Senzo Mchunu received advice from someone to disband the task team, and he took that advice. He further says Mchunu is fully involved in the syndicate's decision to disband the task team. That makes you realize, or it should tell you, that Mkhwanazi believes the decision to disband, while it was communicated by Mkhunu, was actually made by the syndicate. The corruptions were telling not the corruptions, it is the criminals that were calling or telling the minister what exactly to do and to disband this task team. That's the allegation by Mkhwanazi. And we heard the evidence leader questioning him, saying, you do understand that the onus is on you to prove this. You must bring evidence on this. And Mkhwanazi says, I understand and I do have the evidence. It may have to be presented in camera because of the sensitivity, but I do understand that I have the responsibility to prove this and I'm prepared to do so. So I suppose now we wait. It is all eyes on Konazi. We are expecting him to be on the stand for the next couple of days, really continuing to detail what he meant in the allegations he made on the 6th of July. A lot's happening parallel to this process because we're also seeing the MK party tomorrow in the Pretoria High Court challenging the establishment of the Commission of Inquiry. And their biggest challenge with the Commission of Inquiry is that it's a judicial Commission of Inquiry to investigate allegations that have been made against the judiciary. You'll remember Mkhwanazi claimed that members of the judiciary were part of the syndicate. The MK party is saying, how do you have the judiciary, i.e. Madlanga as a member of the judiciary, investigating itself? The MK party also has a problem with the appointment of Professor Feroz Kachalia as acting police minister, also has a problem with Senzo Mkhunu being suspended and not fired, and they're going to be bringing those arguments before the Pretoria High Court tomorrow. At the same time, today, in the Alexandra Magistrates Court, Vusmuzi Nhlanhla, who's another alleged crime boss or kingpin, appeared in the Alexandra Magistrates Court, and he was denied bail. The premise or the reason that was provided by Magistrate Primslu for his denial of bail is the fact that, number one, he has 2 passports, one of which seems to be a bogus Eswatini passport, and the magistrate raised concern with his travel. It seems that, according to Home Affairs records, Nhlanhla traveled to Eswatini in 2024, last year, but the records do not show him ever returning into South Africa. So according to the records, he is still in Eswatini, but we know for a fact that he's here and he's been in South Africa and he was arrested while he was in South Africa. The question then is asked, how was he able to enter the country without being detected? And that raises the question on whether he is a flight risk. We also heard the fact that he was found with a cell phone in his prison cell at the Kosimampuru prison is also a red flag. And the courts, highlighting the fact that if he's able to have a cell phone illegally in his prison cell, then he's capable and has the potential of making phone calls unlawfully, which of course, is linked to whether or not he'll contact witnesses if he's released on bail. And so he remains behind bars. And so the update is that the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry continues tomorrow at the Bridget Mabanda Justice College. The MK party is in court tomorrow challenging the Commission of Inquiry, and Vusmuzi Nhlanhla remains behind bars until the 7th of October. That's our update now on News Made Simple with me, Konazi. If you have more contributions on what's been happening throughout the day, please pop into my comment section and let me know. But for now, thank you so much for listening.